the IRT lines. The R26 and R28 classes were the last cars built by the American Car and Foundry Company for New York City, delivered between 1959 and 1961. Built by the St. Louis Car Company, the R29s featured a bright red exterior paint scheme with pleasant colors for the interiors. With picture windows and a powder blue and off-white paint scheme, the R33S was a small fleet of 40 single cars manufactured in the World's Fair car configuration. The R36s were attractive new cars for the 1964 World's Fair. They replaced the R12 and R14 on the Flushing line. On the BMT and IND lines, the Budd Company won the bid for the R32s. Their proposal was for all stainless steel cars, saving weight and reducing maintenance. The R32 class is still running after 40 years. The end of the 1960s brought about another change, not to the cars themselves, but to the agency that runs them. In 1968, the New York State Legislature created the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, which became the New York City Transit Authority's parent organization. In 1971, under the MTA, the New York City Transit Authority purchased the R44s. They were a radical departure from the previous subway cars. These BMT and IND cars were 75 feet in length. They were high-speed, high-tech cars, resembling a railroad commuter coach. The idea was that 8 cars could provide the same service as 10.
It was too much too soon. From a technical point of view, this design changed quite a bit on the R44. It was revolutionary instead of being evolutionary. These cars were capable of high speeds. They held the world record for a subway train of more than 87 miles an hour. They were longer trains, more similar to the commuter trains being used on the Long Island Railroad and Metro North. And they also had the different modes of operation, including automatic train operation.
By 1981, in order to prevent the collapse of the entire subway system, considered to be the economic lifeline of the city, MTA New York City Transit obtained $3.9 billion in order to purchase 1,775 new cars and the major overhaul of 4,177 cars during 2 capital program years, 1982 to 86 and 1987 to 91.
After the bad times of the 1970s and a period of rebuilding in the 1980s, the decision was made to overhaul the existing fleet. An effective maintenance program, known as Scheduled Maintenance System, or SMS, allowed the fleet to return to a state of good repair.
SMS is an acronym for Scheduled Maintenance System. This is a program that overhauls the primary components of the subway car. For example, the pneumatic components, the motors, the undercarriage, which consists of the truck's wheels and motors, the car body. All of these very important components that go into making the subway car operate efficiently are overhauled periodically.
The R62 and R62A changed very little from their predecessors, the R36s.
When it was time to buy the R62 cars, the MTA formed a steering committee to come up with a design for these new cars. At the time it was decided that based on the poor experience with the R44 and 46, we should go back to a more conventional design. And actually the technical specification for the R62 was that the R62 had to be compatible with the R36. Now, the R36 were built and delivered in the early 60s. So it's like we took a step backwards, almost 20 years backwards in technology to make it simple and more reliable.
During the early 1990s, Kawasaki Railcar and Bombardier Transportation built both the R110A and R110B, which were referred to as the new technology trains. These were to be the next generation of new technology subway cars.
Based on our lesson learned from the R44 and 46, where we procure new cars without testing new technology first, MTA made a very wise decision that before we buy hundreds of new cars, which were coming up in the future years. We would test the technology first on 2 prototype trains.
A few of the revolutionary improvements are alternating current motors, passenger intercoms, and automatic station announcements. Beginning in October 2000 through May 2005, New York City Transit has accepted and placed into service a total of 1,842 rail cars, referred to as New Millennium trains. The R142, R142A, R142S, and R143 cars are designed to improve safety and reliability. Passengers have more amenities, such as flip-up seats, improved interior layout, along with a smoother, safer ride.
For me, the biggest improvement has to be announcement quality. For years, we were always told that announcements were inaudible or we had defective public address systems. With the onboard announcements or the automated announcements, those complaints are very few and far between.
While it would take weeks to talk about the development of the subway cars, Gene Sansone has put it all together in a book entitled New York Subways, an illustrated history of New York City's transit cars. The book outlines passenger car development for every type of New York City rapid transit car from 1903 to the present day.
We felt we needed to bring it up to date and to include description and an historical and technical narrative about the New Millennium trains fleet. The R142, 42A, the R143, R160. And that's what the Centennial Edition does. Basically, it brings the historical history of subway car engineering all the way up to present day.
660 rail cars will be built by Alstom Transportation and Kawasaki Railcar to replace the aging B Division fleet. Some of the newly purchased R160 cars were delivered by Kawasaki in July and August of 2005 and are undergoing various tests and inspections prior to being placed into service.
The design of the subway car is based on an evolution whereby we look at the design of previous car classes and learning lessons from what worked, what didn't work, we will specify the new car requirements. As long as we follow this process of evolution, we had a lot of success. So what we need at the MTA, we don't need revolution in design. We need step-by-step evolutionary process, which guarantees that our trains are modern, they have the latest technology, however, it's proven and it's reliable.
New York City's subway system, although not without its problems, is the lifeline for New Yorkers and visitors to the city, and a mode of transportation that other countries seek to emulate. From the first immigrants in the 1800s to contemporary residents today, New York City is still one of the most vibrant and exciting places to live and visit. And the subway cars are ready to take you to your destination in a New York minute.